Hey everyone, it's Eric. So let me just ask you something straight up. Does learning feel like a joy, or does it feel more like a chore? Come on, let's be honest. For a lot of us, it can be pretty painful. I mean, just think back to your school days, trying to cram all that information into your head the night before a big exam, and then poof, it's all gone the next day. Sound familiar?
Oh man, we have all been there. You know the scene. You're in the library, it's been hours, your textbook is just covered in like 5 different colors of highlighter because everything seems important. You feel like, okay, I got this, I'm ready. And then the test paper hits your desk and your mind is just a total, complete blank. It's the worst feeling, right?
Okay, and here's where it gets really crazy. All those things we do that feel like hard work, rereading our notes, highlighting everything, cramming all night, it turns out that science shows they're actually some of the least effective ways to learn. So listen, the big takeaway here is that it was never about you not working hard enough. Not at all. The problem was the method. You were just using the wrong tools for the job.
All right, so let's get into our first section, the learning illusion. We're going to talk about why your brain is basically playing tricks on you, making you feel like you're learning when you're really not.
Okay, let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine we have 2 groups of students, and they're both studying an article on global warming. Group A, they're super diligent. They read the article really carefully, 4 times over. Group B, they read it just once. Then they put the article away and try to write down everything they can remember from it. So a week goes by. Who do you think actually learned more? Who gets the better grade?
Your gut probably tells you Group A, right? I mean, they put in more reading time. But here's the shocker. Study after study shows it's Group B. And guys, it is not even close. This just goes to show that our intuition about how to learn is often just dead wrong. The group that had to struggle a little bit, the one that had to recall the information, that's the group that actually learned it. So why does our brain fool us like this? Well, it's all because of this thing called the fluency effect. Basically, the more you reread something, the easier and more familiar it feels. And your brain, it mistakes that feeling of ease for actual mastery. It's this sneaky cognitive trap that makes comfortable passive stuff like rereading feel super productive, when in reality, you're not retaining much at all. I love this analogy from Peter Hollins, the author of our source material. He says when you're just passively rereading, you're not really a student. You're more like an information courier. You're just moving facts from the page into your short-term memory. But they don't stick around. They just vanish. You're not actually building anything that lasts.
So, if being a simple courier is the problem, what's the solution? Well, that brings us to the core idea of all effective learning. Let's talk about the active recall principle. This is the real key to unlocking your brain's potential.
Okay, now listen up, because if you only take one thing away from this whole explainer, this should be it. The real secret to deep, powerful, long-term learning isn't about how much information you can shove into your brain. It's about how often you force your brain to pull that information out. That's it. That little bit of a struggle, that mental effort when you try to remember something, that's not a sign of failure. That is the learning process. It's like a workout for your brain cells. The key isn't input, it's retrieval. It's all about the output.
Here's a great way to think about it. Imagine all your knowledge is stored in this giant library in your head. Now, just staring at the book covers over and over again, that's rereading. That doesn't really help you find the book later. But when you force yourself to remember where the book is without looking, that's active recall. You're basically creating and strengthening a mental path to that book. So the next time you need it, boom, it's way easier to find.
Okay, so this active recall thing sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? Well, let's get into our first really practical tool. This is called the Feynman technique, and it's named after this brilliant Nobel Prize-winning physicist, Richard Feynman, who is an absolute master at breaking down super complex ideas. The technique itself is beautifully simple. There are just 4 steps. First, pick a concept you want to learn. Step 2, try to explain it to someone like you're teaching a little kid. That means you have to use super simple language, no jargon. Now, step 3 is the most important part. You will definitely get stuck. And those moments where you stumble and go, wait a minute, those are your knowledge gaps. That's the gold. Finally, step 4, go back to your books, fill in those gaps, and then try to simplify your explanation again. The whole point is, if you can't explain it simply, you don't really get it.
All right, so the Feynman technique is amazing for mastering one concept. But how do you connect all these different ideas together? Well, that leads us to our next big tool, building mental models.
The goal here isn't just to collect random facts. It's to build a real framework, a skeleton for your knowledge.
Think about it this way. Learning a bunch of isolated facts is like having a giant pile of Lego bricks with no instructions. Sure, you have a lot of pieces, but it's just a disorganized, chaotic mess. The information is disconnected and honestly super easy to forget. It's just noise.
A mental model, on the other hand, is the instruction manual. It's the blueprint that shows you how to connect all those bricks to build something amazing. Take a famous one like the 80-20 rule, the idea that roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Man, you can apply that single idea to business, to productivity, to your personal life. It brings order to the chaos and connects hundreds of different facts into a coherent whole. And you know what? This is exactly how the world's top thinkers operate. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's legendary business partner, talks about this all the time. He calls it building a latticework of mental models. So your goal shouldn't be to just memorize facts. It should be to build a powerful toolbox of these models that you can use to understand the world and solve problems.
Okay, so we've got the theory, we've got the tools, but honestly, none of this matters if we don't actually use it. So let's get down to brass tacks. Let's talk about putting this into practice and turning these ideas into daily habits. This chart here really lays it all out. So let's say you're reading a book. The old habit is to just read and highlight. The new active habit? Read a chapter, close the book, and then try to summarize the key points in your own words. Or learning a new skill. Instead of just binge-watching hours of tutorials, try this. Learn for 20 minutes, then immediately practice for 40 minutes. And for studying, stop rereading your notes. Instead, turn your notes into questions and then quiz yourself over and over. You see the pattern, right? It's always about shifting from passive consumption to active creation.
So to wrap all this up, what we're really talking about here is a fundamental shift in how we approach learning. It's time to stop being a temporary courier of information.
And it's time to start being a knowledge architect. You're not just moving facts around anymore. You're someone who actually understands, connects, and builds these incredible, lasting structures of wisdom inside your own mind.
So that really just leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you have these tools, what are you going to build with the next thing you learn? All right, let's do a super quick recap of the key takeaways. Number 1, ditch passive rereading and highlighting. It's a total trap of the fluency effect. 2, embrace active recall. Remember, pulling information out is where the magic happens. 3, use the Feynman technique to truly test if you understand something. And finally, number 4, build mental models to create a powerful, connected network for your knowledge.
Okay, and that's our explainer on how to learn deep. I really hope you found this helpful. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could hit like, subscribe, and maybe share it so more people can benefit too. And hey, if there's a book or a concept you'd like us to break down next, just let us know in the comments below. I'm Eric, and I'll see you in the next one.